Hey everyone, my name is Angela Hollowell. I am the host of the Honey and Hustle podcast, which is also hosted on this channel. And today I wanted to tell you a little bit about my experience at my first podcast festival. I have been a podcaster for over 3 years now, really getting on 3.5 at the time of the recording of this video, and I've never attended an industry event like a podcast festival. Being really engaged in the Twitter community of podcasters has been awesome. It's been so great seeing all these great people and their shows and creating incredible work. But it's just not the same as meeting people in person. And I've been getting so much FOMO seeing people go to different podcast festivals around the country and even around the world and sharing their experiences and all the people that they got to meet in person. And I want that too. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy for you guys, but I want to have a good time too. You know what I'm saying? And all these great people I met on Twitter, awesome. Maybe they can come too and I can meet them in person. Like that's what, making online connections are for. I really wanted to go to one that didn't involve too much logistics. Like I just feel like make the barrier to entry easy for me. When I saw that BlkPod Festival was going to be in Atlanta on a weekend that I didn't have anything scheduled for, I was like, absolutely, yes. One of my favorite cities in the world. Knowing that I'm an introvert, I knew that the way for me to get the most value out of a podcast festival or conference is to find a way to attract people to me in the same way that I do by putting myself out there online from the comfort of my home. So I applied to be a speaker at BlkPod Festival and I got accepted, and I created a custom presentation just for this event. I really was excited to go and present that in person. So 1, to be a presenter, 2, to be an attendant and also learn from other people was just a win-win for me. I was so nervous on the day of. I was just like, not sure how people were going to receive it, not sure if it was going to be super valuable for people. But much to my surprise, I had a really engaged audience. They asked a lot of questions, and I was able to kind of learn from them, like what things they were, thinking about, what parts of the presentation stuck out for them, and how I can make the presentation better if I decide to do it again, which I think that I will. And so that was such a great experience. Not even just getting to speak, because that was really just one aspect of it. I really got to learn and sit in on other presentations and talks, which was, obviously just the bread and butter of that festival, which was really, really great. I got to learn from other speakers about how to present at a TEDx talk or even apply at a TEDx talk, and use your podcast as the catalyst for developing a TEDx talk, which is TEDx. I keep calling it TED Talk, TEDx. I think it's really called TED Talk, but you know what I'm trying to say. And so I think, and while that sounds so interesting to me now, when I first started a podcast, I had no interest in speaking publicly or using my podcast as a catalyst for a speaking career or adding speaking as an aspect of my business income. But that's been a really fun part of the journey is learning to be comfortable in front of an audience in person as well as online. So that's like a hidden benefit of, conducting interviews, hundreds of interviews over the course of these last 3+ years. So what were some of my key takeaways from the event outside of, my presentation? I would definitely say that the panel talks were awesome. In addition to the TED Talk, which is another presentation that I attended, we got to hear from, industry folks from Spotify, the Neatness Network, and so many more that I'm gonna forget off the top of my head while I'm recording this. We got to hear their firsthand accounts of what it's like to, yes, be a freelancer in the industry, but also be a part of a podcasting company or a podcasting organization. And that is really a different aspect that I haven't really had any experience in. So that was really cool to see. I think that if I were to go again next year, I would love to either speak on a panel or host a panel, because those panel sessions were the only sessions where everyone was in the same room, right? The breakout sessions like mine was, people got to pick and choose where they went. But for those sections during the festival, everybody was in the same room. So to be able to be on the main stage would be awesome and incredible. Something I would have loved to have done, since it was on a weekend, so I could have, come in, Friday morning or left late Monday, I would have loved to have done a live podcast recording with someone there while I was in Atlanta. Do I know what I would have done? Absolutely not. But it would have been nice to create some unique content while being there, especially since Ona has, her own studio with Adode Media. I think that just would have been an easy win for her and for us. And I really hope that may be something they consider adding to next year's agenda and opportunity for people who are attending. One of the key pieces of feedback that I got from the people that participated in my session was that they wanted to learn more about the automations that I use to run my podcast, from guest outreach to podcast episode distribution. So if that's something that you're interested in as well, leave me a comment below and I'll try to make that happen for you guys. If you're looking to attend your first podcast festival or any podcast festival, I highly recommend this one. I highly recommend the experience as a whole. It was just so great to see everyone face to face. It was great to meet new people, and it's just always great to be in community with like-minded folks who are, doing the same but different things. If you want to speak at a podcast festival, it is nerve-wracking. At least for me, it was nerve-wracking, but it was super fun. And I think that's a great way to put yourself out there and meet new folks as well. Speaking of that, if you will be at the Afros and Audio Podcast Festival in Baltimore or at the Resonate Podcast Festival in Richmond this fall, I would love to see you and say hello to you in person. So that's all for this one. I hope I will see you in person, but definitely will see you guys in the next video.